This is the Batflip Podcast. Now here's your host, Damien, David, and Matt. Welcome in everyone to another episode of the Batflip Podcast. Damien, David, and Matt here with you today to recap the 2025 World Series. Last time we said we wanted to be back before the World Series is over. It didn't really line up. I don't think my stress level really would have allowed that to happen. But we are here now recapping it after the Dodgers are the first team to repeat in 25 years in total, and the first team in the National League since the Big Red Machine. I believe that was 75 and 76. So this was an insane World Series. Some might say it's one of the greatest World Series of all time. I think I would probably be on that. There's a couple other good ones, obviously 2016, 2014. But there were some insane games. We had a tied game for the longest World Series in history. Again, an insane Game 7, which those are the best. Peaked over 31 million viewers here in the United States itself, which is absolutely crazy. But before we break into all that, David, how are you doing?
Much worse now. I got into the Blue Jays, man. I was enjoying watching them. I thought I had a good time with the World Series as a whole. I think there was so much. I'll tell you, I was surprised there's so much good fundamental baseball getting played in this World Series, man. Yet the Dodgers were playing great. The Blue Jays were playing great. So much of those extra innings games is a product of just how good those teams were, and it was a pleasure to watch. Other sports are not going so great, especially for me, but like in general, I'm just, baseball is where it's at right now. And I'm glad that we're having a great time and we get to talk about baseball, because I don't think I'd be okay to talk about anything else right now. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a wild couple of sports weeks for me as well. All of my teams are absolutely atrocious right now. The Braves have their first losing season in 7 or 8 years or whatever it is. Auburn fired their coach on Sunday for good reason, because they were about to have our third losing season in a row, or fourth or something. The Preds are terrible. I went to the Preds game last Sunday and they blew a 2-0 lead and lost. Dolphins are maybe the biggest atrocity I've ever watched play football. But at least basketball starts tonight, and Auburn basketball should be pretty good. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. And then if it couldn't get any worse, I just got news of the Braves hiring tonight. And it was I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Walt Weiss was the move. He's been around the Braves for a while. He's kind of a extension of what they've been doing. But I was not particularly excited, and I was hoping they'd go in another direction than that. But we'll definitely get more into those things here soon. But yeah, it's been the World Series was really fun. I was actually riding back from I say the Dolphins are the most atrocity I've ever watched play football. That Auburn game on Saturday, I think I was joking after the game. I was riding back. We were watching Game 7 of the World Series. I was listening to it while I was driving back, and my brother was watching it in the passenger seat. I told him, man, the Blue Jays scored more than Auburn scored points tonight. It was pretty bad, man. We were playing Kentucky, but the World Series was awesome. I really enjoyed watching that. I'm still catching up on sleep from Game 2 or Game 3. That was not a good decision. I could have just woken up the next morning and watched the game-winning home run, but instead I stayed up till 2 a.m. and then every inning I was like, I've invested this much time, might as well keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, very exciting World Series. As a Braves fan, I'm happy the off season is here, even though it started off not great. It's gonna be a lot of moves made. It's gonna be entertaining to see where everyone goes and what my team does and I guess Damien's team's gonna do more than anyone else, but I guess that's just gonna be the case. But Damien, congratulations on your World Series win. I'm not going to ask how you're doing because I know it's the answer. So,
well, I'm just who has the sports world right now is just repaying me for everything. I got the Dodgers going back to back. Luka Doncic on the Lakers, just looking like incredible alien that he is.
Wishes he was Austin Reeves.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Jake LaRavia too. We got Trace Leches right there. Then you have I mean, Oregon's Oregon right now. You got Danny Doofus deciding to play good football, except yesterday with his 5 turnovers. LSU fires Brian Kelly. Like, man, I am just I'm in heaven right now with Kyle Larson won the championship in NASCAR. Like, and what else is better at this moment for me, right? So I will say that the World Series probably took 20 years off of my life. Like, was especially Game 3 itself. I also stayed up for every single pitch of that. I thought there was about 5 times where there was walk-off homers and that, and then I finally was trying to celebrate and not wake people up in the house with yelling when the walk-off homer because it was midnight or whatever, like just absolutely incredible series. You going into the series when Matt and I previewed it, we said we went through each little thing like, hey, this pitching's better, this is the offense better here. We talked base running. We said, like, who's a better base running team? We said, we're not sure that's going to really matter. It mattered. Like, we talked fielding. Who's like that? Well, how much is this going to matter? It mattered. Like, literally, there were so many key details in this World Series that could have flipped it either way. I mean, inches. The Blue Jays were like this close from walking off the World Series. And it was all because the guy didn't get as good of a secondary lead as you would expect him to. But yet, you look at it, and it's like, well, that's the way it should be played. And the guy stumbled away. Like, we'll get into all that. It's incredible, the minute details that went into this World Series. I think we didn't even give each team enough credit for how good they really are and how well they matched up against each other. This was a very, very evenly matched World Series, which was just, it gave it to us with the longest World Series in history, innings-wise, as well. Just incredible. But let's get into each game real quick. We're kind of do this in 3 or 4 different sections. We'll go game 1 and 2. We'll talk about game 3 itself. Kind of go 4, 5, then 6, 7, and obviously spend some more time on game 7. Game 1 was Trey Savage versus Blake Snell. The Blue Jays dominated this game 11-4. Scored 9 runs in the 6th inning alone. There was a pinch hit, Addison Barger grand slam off of Blake Snell. A couple other key hits in that too, but it was really just Savage looked really good. And Snell didn't have his best stuff, right? We talked about going into the series, Dodgers starters are going to have to win it for him. Blake Snell did not have it that game. But then you get to game 2. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he had it. He followed up his NLCS with it again, and he went a complete game, 4 hits, 1 run in this one. Dodgers win this one 5-1. Took the lead in the first. Kirk tried to come back with a sac fly in the third, but that's all they got. After that, Will Smith homer, Max Muncy homer, kind of pulled away from that one. So through the first 2 games, David, you had Blue Jays kind of coming out, punching the Dodgers in the face. Then you had Yamamoto coming back, kind of answering that call, tying the series, going back to LA. What were your kind of thoughts through those first 2 games?
It's so good to see starting pitching. It's so good to see starting pitching taking the spotlight when it comes to playoff and World Series baseball as a whole. A guy, Yamamoto in particular, we're going to talk more about him. He's obviously the World Series MVP, but I mean, Yamamoto in particular was just unhittable all playoffs long. And to the point that whenever he came in, it just seemed like didn't seem like anybody was going to really touch him. Like every time he actually allowed a runner on base, he started throwing that splitter until he got a ground ball. Like every time. That's how the World Series ended. Like it's just a complete concoction of control, velocity, and movement in his profile to where that makes sense as to why the Dodgers made him the highest paid starting pitcher of all time without having thrown a pitch stateside ever.
Hey, shout out Josh Reddick for finally privating his account so people will stop quote tweeting that tweet.
Yeah, it's like, I understood the skepticism, and we're going to talk, you mentioned like the offseason. We're going to talk about a bunch of additional free agents coming over from Japan, a bunch of guys that are really intriguing. But again, like the success that Yamamoto has shown is like it was expected because he was made such a high percentage player. And it's still a minimal, like this is like a top % outcome in my opinion. Like he's so good, so fast, and he's so reliable that this is, I mean, he looks, barring some kind of injury, he looks like prime Max Scherzer if you switch this change up with a splitter. Like in terms of pitch mix and dominance, like it just every time out, he's going to be electric for 6, 7, 8, 9 innings. Remember, Scherzer was going, 7, 8 innings every time out in, the mid teens. And, Yamamoto, it seems like you could just pencil him in for 6 strong, like every time, even when he's short rest, even whatever, like he could probably go out there and throw 6 strong today. And he's on maybe 2 days rest since game 7.
0 rest, he could do it.
Yeah. Like the guy is just he's a machine. And it's really incredible what he's been able to do. I'll tell you though, the Blue Jays winning game 1 and Savage being as awesome as he has been through this whole playoffs gave me some confidence. I was like, maybe the Blue Jays can win. And I was like, no, it's going to be the Dodgers. It's always going to be the Dodgers, especially after that second game. I was like, Dodgers are definitely winning. It's still Dodgers in 5. Like, I felt pretty strongly it would still be the Dodgers.
Yeah, those first 2 games I think were kind of exactly what we kind of thought, right? Because the kind of the thing coming in was the Blue Jays are not going to be able to shut the Dodgers offense down. Both games they scored, a decent amount of runs. I mean, they scored 4 in game 1. They scored 6 in game 2?
5.
5. So, I mean, they scored a decent amount of runs in both games. You're not going to be able to shut them out. And the question was going to be, can you weather the storm with the starting pitching long enough to get to the bullpen and, and also not let the Dodgers explode offensively? And the Blue Jays pitched really well in game 1 and 2, really, for the most part. But especially in game 1 with Trey Savage, they pitched really well, held the Dodgers to a manageable number of runs. And in game 1, they were able to get to Blake Snell a little bit, get him out of the game. I think he gave up 5, but a couple of them were inherited runners that scored too. And then, the bullpen imploded in game 1 for the Dodgers. I mean, Addison Barger comes in, hits a pinch hit grand slam. I believe that was the first pinch hit grand slam in a World Series ever.
Yep, I believe so.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of exactly what we thought. And if the Dodgers starting pitching was elite, they were going to win. If their starting pitching was not elite, then they would probably lose those games. And in this case, they lose game 1 and then they win game 2 with a complete game. So, kind of what we expected. Game 1 did give me confidence that the Blue Jays would hang in this series, especially with the fact that they had just come off a couple days ago, game 7 of the ALCS. And, they had to go into game 1. They had an off day, so their bullpen was fairly well rested and everything. But I don't know that their pitching plan for game 1 was ideal compared to what the Dodgers had. The Dodgers were able to line their thing up. So that gave me some confidence that the Blue Jays pitching could hold up, because that was kind of my concern going in for the Blue Jays was even if they do get to the bullpen, get out of some, like they might be giving up 6, 7, 8 runs a game against this Dodger offense. And they really didn't do that in the series. So games 1 and 2 were really, really fun. Great atmospheres in Toronto. Game 1 was a madhouse. Good, good on them for that. And there were a couple good games there.
Yeah, I mean, the thought always for LA absolutely had to be go in and split, right? Split the games in Toronto, get home field advantage again, and then try and come back and close it out in LA. Obviously, that didn't happen. We'll talk more about it, but you were never going to go take both in Toronto, I don't think. I thought it would be flipped. I thought you'd take game 1 against Savage maybe, and then lose game 2 to Gausman, who's pitched very well against the Dodgers in his history. And he still had a really good game, 6 2/3, 3 earned runs there. But the Dodgers were just able to get to Louis Varland after they brought him in there. So, but you had to do that. And what Yamamoto did was it was incredible. You knew the bullpen couldn't line up, especially after the night before they got tacked on to. You needed to go in and do something. So let's move over to game 3, and we'll do this in its own block here, because game 3 was 18 innings. It was tied for the longest World Series game in the history. Also with a game 3 of the World Series in Dodger Stadium.
In 2018.
Same 2018. Also ended in the 18th inning with a leadoff homer from a left-handed batter. It was very weird with everything. But let's start it as this was Tyler Glasnow versus Max Scherzer. This got off Teoscar Hernandez, hit a homer in the bottom of the second to give him 1-run lead. And Shohei followed it up bottom of the third to make it a 2-0 lead. Alejandro Kirk in the 4th inning hit a 3-run homer off of Tyler Glasnow there. Andres Gimenez hit a sac fly to make it a 4-2 lead. Shohei doubled in the 5th to make it a 4-3 lead. Freddie Freeman singled to tie it at 4. Then top of the 7th, Bo Bichette singled home Vlad Jr. to take it or to give them a lead. Bottom of the 7th, Shohei homered again, or not homered again. Yes, homered again. Sorry, to make it 5-5. It's bottom of the 7th. The next score did not happen until the bottom of the 18th inning, where they played a complete game without scoring, basically on top of the other game. And really, we need to shout out the two pitchers that really took over this game: Eric Lauer and Will Klein. Before we get to that, let's also mention the Toronto having the bases loaded, and they brought in for Nathan Lukes and bringing in Clayton Kershaw for one batter.
Yep.
There in the World Series and getting him on what was absolutely ball 4
to
ground out to first base that would have allowed the run to score there. Before we get to the other ones, let's just talk about it. We'll do it all in one thing. Eric Lauer, 4 2/3, 2 hits, scoreless, did have 4 walks, but really helped stabilize that there. And then Will Klein, reliever, who was picked up in mid-June from the Seattle Mariners, basically off of DFA heap. 4 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks. A guy who is typically a 1-inning pitcher went out and threw like 76 pitches, I believe. Right? I mean, I want to fact check
like that. Yeah,
72 pitches. Max Scherzer threw 79 in his start. Will Klein threw that in his relief appearance. Who started? Glasnow had 85, so he almost threw as many as Glasnow there. But these were two games of unsung heroes, right? This was a Nathan Eovaldi performance from both of these guys, really.
Yeah.
Will Klein gets a lot of the hype because he went 4 scoreless and they won the game. People aren't shouting out what Eric Lauer did, even though he is a career starter. Klein's obviously a reliever. But what both of these guys did to give their teams chances, and each team had chances throughout this 18-inning game in the extra innings each time to walk it off. So, Matt, obviously you stayed up for that whole thing too. So take it basically from the first – let's break it into first 7 innings and then the show that happened after that.
Yeah, well, the first 7 innings, there's kind of my biggest takeaway was, like, Max Scherzer is just a freaking, like – that guy's a psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he was as bad as he was during the regular season, injured all year, he's 40 years old. He comes in and pitches for the first time in the postseason in the ALCS. He didn't pitch in the division series and shuts down the Mariners in a crucial game in that series. And you kind of think, wow, this looks like Max Scherzer of 5 years ago. Is this a one-off? Is this kind of a whatever. And then Max Scherzer comes out and just looks really good against one of the best teams in baseball, and the best team in baseball, and the Dodgers in the World Series. I mean, it was incredible. I thought it was you got to thought the Blue Jays in this game had a lot of opportunities to win this game. I mean, obviously you mentioned the bases loaded when Kershaw was in there. One decision that the Blue Jays made in this series that I didn't really fully understand was batting Nathan Lukes second in the lineup. I would not have done that. There were a lot of opportunities for Vlad Jr. to be up in those bases loaded situations. And we saw that a few times in this series where you're like, man, I sure wish Vlad Jr. was up right now. And, he'd be batting third, and the guy batting second is just kind of like and I don't want to say anything bad about, Nathan Lukes, but he's not the best thing. You had a weird pickoff play too, where it was just a really delayed call at home plate, and the guy on first thought it was a walk, and they picked him off because he was like walking to second because nobody made a call. The umpire took so long to make the call. That was pretty rough. You had like Barger threw out Freddie Freeman at home on a weird, what I thought was a pretty bad send there. One other big takeaway for me in this game, and part of it wasn't really the Blue Jays' fault, was the fact that once we got late in this game, the Blue Jays made a lot of substitutions in this game. They made some defensive substitutions. They made some pinch hits, pinch runs. and and obviously this is the game that Springer hurt his oblique in. So, you kind of had to pull Springer out because, I mean, he was obviously pretty hurt. But when you got to extra innings in this game, you're looking at the lineup and you had because Bo Bichette got pinch run for, and you had,
Kirk.
Kirk got pinch run for, and you had, and obviously with Springer out, you had somebody else in there. I believe Lucas got pinch hit for as well for a,
it was
Lucas or Barger?
Yeah, Barger ended up out.
Barger. Yeah. I think Schneider came in for.
It was Straw ran for Barger.
Yeah, Straw ran for Barger, and Schneider came in for Springer.
Yeah,
and
no, France came in for Springer. I think
France was in for Springer. Schneider might have come in. Schneider might have pinch hit or something at some point. I remember him being in there at some point. But either way, you had a lot of there were a lot of decisions made in this game by the Blue Jays where you just kind of, when you're really aggressive with pulling some of your guys early or late innings, but in a tied game or something, it's just something that can come back to bite you. And if it doesn't work at that time, you're having IKF come up in a crucial situation in this game, and it's just it's tough to deal with that. So really, it was going to be a Vlad Jr. home run, or the Dodgers were going to eventually find a way to score. That was kind of the two options here. And Vlad Jr. never got a chance to hit the home run because they kept walking him because IKF was on deck. So, yeah.
Speaking of walking, we should talk about that during this game too.
Yes, and then the Blue Jays decided to walk Ohtani literally every time he came up after he hit he hit 2 or 3 home runs.
2 homers and a double.
Two homers and a double.
He was.
Yeah.
And then they walked him every time out that, and he reached base 9 times.
Yeah.
Which is a World Series record. But it prolonged the game because every time they walk him, it was an out right after.
Yeah. And you mentioned that Eric Lauer 4 walks. Well, I think 2 of them were intentional walks to Ohtani or something.
Yeah.
So but yeah, and then of course in the last inning, of course, in the 18th inning, Freddie Freeman finally hit the home run, and Freddie Freeman did not have a great series, but that might have been the biggest swing of the series. So by either team,
I made it
a good moment for him.
I made it
maybe not the biggest.
I made it to the 15th inning, and then I had fallen asleep by then. But the 14th inning, I want to say it's 14th, might have been the 13th inning. Will Smith led off with a ball to the track.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was a home run, and we were done. And I was like, "All right, cool, it's over." And then he caught it, and I was like, "What?" The Will Smith one was where I was like, "This game might go on forever." This might be the Joe Buck tweet where the sun rises in the top.
It was
of
the 14th.
Yeah, 14th inning. Will Smith hits one to the track. I am already mostly asleep.
Yeah, I thought that ball was.
And I was like,
gone.
"It's over. I'm done finally." And then it wasn't over. I was like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here?" I thought the strategy of this game was everything that is good about baseball, right? We just talked about the managerial decisions that John Schneider made. And I thought John Schneider was really good in this series, with the exception of this game. I thought this game in particular was John Schneider getting a little bit too involved. I just thought, you're trying to win the game right now. I get that, right?
Yeah.
Pinch running for Alejandro Kirk, but dude, Alejandro Kirk's one of your best hitters. You can't pull him out of the game if this game keeps going, right? And then, pulling Bo couldn't run. I get it. But maybe then don't hit Bo fourth. Don't hit Bo behind Vlad. You got to give Vlad some protection. If when Bo was in there, Bo hit a 165 WRC plus in this series. He was excellent.
Yeah,
when he was
in
there.
fourth.
But you can't pull him then. Even if he can't run, you just have to hope he can go station to station and roll around, and you can keep winning the game.
Well, I'll tell you one other thing too. Springer wasn't playing in this game. Why not DH?
This is the game Springer got hurt.
Springer got hurt during the
game.
That's
right. That's right. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So which threw it off for sure. I mean, I think at that point Schneider had to get creative.
Yeah.
The creative that he got hurt them, I think, very clearly. But for the rest of the series, I want to be clear. These two managers were elite. These managerial decisions were absolutely elite. We don't talk about a lot of times, right? We talk about the manager did the bad thing, right? And especially we did that with John Schneider. Dave Roberts was excellent through this whole series. John Schneider was excellent through this whole series, with the exception of this game. And even in this game, he was still very good with a couple of those pitching moves and then walking Ohtani. I think it takes some serious, like, you have to be very bold, we'll say, to go ahead and put Shohei Ohtani and Vlad Jr. on base every time, knowing those guys come around, either the game's over, or you have to score, and you haven't been able to score in the last like 5-6 innings.
Yeah, well, not to mention the fact that when you put Ohtani on first base, I mean, I know he didn't run quite as much this year because of, just trying to stay healthy and trying to stay, but this is the World Series. Ohtani's obviously an awesome base stealer. So, I mean, if you put him on first, it might as well be a double at times. And Ohtani actually got thrown out one of the times here too, and on a play where he popped off the base. But I mean, I thought that was a risky move because the chances of Ohtani hitting a home run are still pretty low. Like, even though he's the best home run hitter in baseball right now, or one of the top 3 or 4, like, it's still a 5 to 5% chance or something he hits a home run. And
it's coming off the thing of him hitting 2 home runs in the first 3 at bats, homer, double, homer. And you could just tell he was locked in that night. Yeah. And you're just trying to. It's the age-old thing. If someone's going to beat you, it's not going to be that guy.
Don't let.
And that's what John Schneider did. Is like,
and I love
anyone in this lineup can beat me. Like, I'll let Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, the 2 other former MVPs in this lineup, try and beat me. It's just not going to be the guy who's the best player on the planet right now.
Well, I was going to say too. I mean, with Mookie Betts, Mookie Betts did not have a good series.
He did not. He had a solid playoff coming up into this point, but not this series was not good. Yeah. But there was also so many like minute defensive plays. You talked about the pickoff play with the Varsho. You talked about Barger. There was a couple of plays at third base. I think Teoscar tried to take an extra one at first base when it was deep in the hole with Jimenez throwing it to first. Vlad popped off through an absolute rocket to get Teoscar at third base.
I have to. Vlad was so good at defense. He was so good defensively base in this series. He has completely flipped. Not the narrative, but like watching him play, he is a natural.
He's a super
defensive first baseman, dude. Like not even the hitting. The hitting, he's amazing. We'll talk about Game 7. I thought he homered in Game 7, just like Will Smith. But like the defense was at first base was the impactful kind of defense that you see from championship caliber teams. We've seen from Freddie Freeman in the past. Right. We saw from Rizzo in like 2016. That's kind of the mold, I think, of where you have like first base. It's like, it's the Moneyball thing where it's like, it's easy to play. Is it really? No, it's incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Like first base is a little bit of a meme. It starts off with such a negative defensive reputation. Vlad Jr. was playing at an incredibly high level in this series.
And then there was also 2 other big plays where one tipped off Freddie Freeman's glove. Tommy Edman, after making an error, ran out to short right field, got it, flipped around, and I think it was Barger, threw him out at third base because who was trying to go first to third on that. And then there was another one where I think it was in like the 13th or the 14th inning or something, where Davis Schneider was on first base, doubled down the right field line. Perfect relay.
That was
Teoscar to Edman to home. Perfect relay it was over. To get him out at home. Again, there's just so many minute defensive plays, right? Like every single one of those plays could have gone wrong in some other direction, and it flips the game, right? This game doesn't go 18 innings, and that like Vlad was so good, but there's so much fundamentally good baseball. There's bad baseball too, right? Teams making bad plays. Like Teoscar should not be trying to go to third base, like on that play. Game 1, someone did it with Blake Snell too. He threw him out at third base. Barger, you shouldn't be going first to third on that. I know it's right there, but just you can't take that risk, right? The send, you probably shouldn't send Schneider there. But like, again, it's like you make them make a perfect play, right? I think we go back to 2014 when they didn't send was Gordon on the Mad Bum?
Yeah.
When they didn't send him. And it's like, well, you're not going to get another hit off of Mad Bum. You might as well send him and make them make a perfect play to get you out. This is like the other thing. You're late in the game. Make them make a perfect play to get you out. And guess what? They did. It was a perfect relay. There's so many of those plays in this game specifically that we need to talk about.
And I think I'm trying to remember who it was that was on deck at the time, but I think that was one of those guys that was a sub in this game. that was on deck at the time. I don't remember who it was, but
Straw.
Let me
probably?
see.
but
But you
yeah,
could've
I think
won
it
it.
was. I think
'Cause there
Miles
was-
Straw was on deck because I remember thinking, why did they send him? That was so dumb, even with 2 outs. Like there's just no chance
Yeah.
if the Dodgers didn't just totally botch this, he was going to be out. And then I realized that the guy that was on deck was not the guy who was originally on deck. So and
Yep.
it was it might have been IKF. I don't who hit that ball. I don't
No,
remember
because
who hit
IKF
that
was hitting fourth all series, basically, whenever he was
ball.
in.
Right when Bo Bichette went, but who
No,
was
I
the
think
guy
it
that hit
was
that?
Schneider was in
Umpire
for
review.
Springer, so maybe it was Lucas.
Call
Maybe it
Schneider
was.
singles.
But
No, well, Schneider was on first when this happened, so maybe
no, you're right. It was because it was Barger that hit the double. It wasn't Vlad, surely.
okay.
I'm trying to find
I
it.
don't think. Might have been
I'm
Vlad.
trying to find it. Okay, so Lucas doubles. It
Oh,
was
no,
Vlad.
Vlad Jr. was on deck,
Oh.
but everyone
Vlad was
knew
on
he was
deck.
going to get walked.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
he was
right.
gonna get
And then it was
But
going to be
would've been
IKF. That's
That's it.
that was the
Yep.
problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in
And I-
the top of the 10th.
I have the numbers. IKF had a 7 WRC plus. Miles Straw had a negative 26 in this series. And that just goes to show the importance of having good bench players, man. It's, those guys are in there for their defense. Miles Straw's there for his speed. Like, those guys didn't really get to use either of those tools, really. I mean, IKF played good defensive shortstop down the stretch, but man, he was an automatic out.
He was.
It's tough, especially getting inserted into fourth in the lineup. Like if he's down there where Jimenez was, like Jimenez actually ended up having some impact
Solid.
on the series. He was 73 WRC plus in the playoffs. Like IKF was an automatic out, and it's just tough.
Well, if you kind of
That's not
think
his
about
job.
well, if you kind of think about it, I mean, IKF's a fine bench player to have. He can play everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, he puts the ball in play. He's not a terrible
Mhm.
contact guy at times. It's just
Right.
The fact that they had to do all these, that they made all these subs.
Yeah.
Like he's like one of your bottom guys on the bench that you're kind of going to put in there for in case something goes bad,
If you
like
do-
injury or something.
Yeah.
If
If
you
you
have-
do one of
Let's go with
those
that,
moves, it's fine.
Right.
But you can't
Right.
do four
But
of them.
But at the point that you've got him and the backup catcher in the lineup, and you've got
Yep.
for Ty Francis in there, like you just got a bunch
Yeah.
of
And,
backups in the lineup.
Schneider ran for France. That's what
That's
it
what.
was.
That's
Okay,
you're
yeah,
right.
so-
Ty France did lead off with a single, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's the case too, where at a certain point, Schneider could have pinch hit for somebody at a certain point too. I mean,
Right.
you just kind of wasted him as a pinch runner, which he's not really good at.
Yeah, he struck out a lot in this playoffs though. Schneider did. So I get it because IKF didn't strike out a lot, but IKF had no impact on the game offensively.
So game 3 was wild.
It's a fantastic baseball game.
It was fantastic. Just weird that 2 18-inning games both happened in the same place, ending the same fashion, basically.
Same singer for the national anthem.
Yeah, Brad Paisley, like extra innings legend, I guess, for playoff games.
I think he's
wanna-
done it 4 times, and all 4 of them were extra inning games.
Oh yeah, that's the point. Yeah, if you
It's
want
crazy.
if you want an extra inning games, have Brad Paisley sing the national anthem for your team. All right, so let's talk about games 4 and 5 in another group real quick. So game 4 was Shane Bieber versus Shohei Ohtani. Was a well-pitched game too. The Dodgers got 1 in the second on a Kike Hernandez sac fly. Then Vlad hit an absolute nuke off of Shohei Ohtani in the top of the third to give them a 2-1 lead. And then it got to the 7th. I thought Shohei should have been done after 6. They let him try and go back out there. Andres Jimenez singled, then to score Dalton Varsho. Ernie Clement went to third. Then Ty France grounded out. Ernie Clement scores. And then Bo Bichette singled to make it a 5-1 lead as Barger singled to make it a 6-1 lead. Basically, it was over at that point. Tommy Edmonds scored, grounded out in the 9th inning, but that was that. Blue Jays won that game 6-2. Then game 5 was another Blake Snell versus Trey Savage game. 3 pitches into this game, Blue Jays had a 2-run lead. Davis Schneider led off with a homer first pitch. Vlad Jr. on the 3rd pitch of the game hit a homer. Bottom of the 3rd, Kike hit a homer to make it 2-1. Ernie Clement in the 4th sac fly for a 3-1 lead. Then Vlad walked, the bases loaded walk to make it 4-1. Bo Bichette got singled 5-1. IKF singled to make it 6-1. But this was the Trey Savage game. 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts, and 0 walks. 0 walks is very impressive with his release point. He was locked in. This was a major game for Savage, basically showing him as a breakout superstar in this one. So David, through the next 2 games, game 4 and 5.
Man, what resilience from this Blue Jays. These were the games that I really was. I watched the 18-inning game and I was like, man, I think the Blue Jays are going to be done. There's still 2 more games in LA. All the Dodgers need to do is win 2 more. Like, it feels like series is over, right? And the Blue Jays come out there and dominate. Like effectively dominate game 4, dominate game 5, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, they were able to put that behind them so quickly. I think some of that does have to do with the fatigue of having to play such a long game there in the World Series with the Dodgers. That's an older group versus the Blue Jays, who are a younger group. But effectively no excuses, right? Like you have to go out there and win the games anyway. And I thought the Blue Jays played 2 really great games here. Savage is obviously the guy. I do want to shout Ernie Clement before as you mentioned him there. He had a whale. He hit 411 in the playoffs as a kind of a dynamic. He played shortstop, played third base. Hit everything. As a contact hitter. 170 WRC plus as terms of impact. Never struck out. Like what a he's a guy he's a little bit older, but he's struggling in the minor leagues to get a foothold, and he's finally found a place that he can succeed in Toronto. And he nearly ended game 7 too. Just not a superstar, but like one of those Ben Zobrist utility players that's like really fun to watch. I had a blast watching Ernie Clement hit this playoffs, from top to bottom. He was awesome.
I was going to hit on him after game 7 because I really wanted to mention it there, but we can talk about it here too. He is the all-time hits leader in a postseason in a single run now, with I think 30 or 30,
31. Yeah, and he passed Arozarena from 2020, and Arozarena in 2020 has like all the offensive records
and
in single postseasons.
And the wild part is Vlad from this year is 3rd on that list, 2 hits behind him.
Yeah, Vlad had a crazy playoffs.
So anyways, I was going to mention that later after game 7, but we can mention it here.
I was going to let Matt talk on you, Savage, because I love you, Savage, too. Again, starting pitching, so massive. Love seeing starting pitchers go 6. Love seeing starting pitchers try to go 7. Ultimately, it doesn't work for the Dodgers with Shohei. But I think you're right when it comes to he plays so much more than everybody else already. In as much as I want to see the starting pitchers take control of the game and pitch longer and really fight back against this, you can only pitch 1-2 times through the order, and we need starting pitchers to fight back against this. Shohei Ohtani's the one guy where I'm like, you know what, you can pull that guy out, right? It's okay. He's hitting as well. He's the only guy doing that. You can pull him from the game. I'm okay with that.
Especially with his
leaving him in is tough.
Especially with his injury history, and also the fact that he had some cramping issues in that 18-inning game too, where he. They had to come out. The trainer had to come out and look at him a couple times. So, I definitely thought that pulling him probably would have been the best move. But I mean, it's probably just that it happened. I mean, sometimes baseball is random, and it just it's not like he gave up 3 takes in a row or something in the 7th inning. But yeah, I think if you look at look at Trey Savage, I mean that guy is just. He is so unique. It's something that I wonder if he's going to be able to do it long term, because of the uniqueness of it. I mean, you look at that attack angle coming so far over the top is crazy, and then I mean his pitches are just weird because of that. Like his slider, I believe might be the only slider in baseball that actually backs up. It goes arm side, breaks arm side a little bit.
It's not the only one that's known as a death ball.
One of 4. Was it one of 4? Is that what the stat was? There's only a few that.
It looks more like a cutter. It's super weird.
Yeah, but it breaks arm side. It actually breaks arm side. So I mean that's unusual. And obviously has a really good splitter. The thing that's interesting that to me is that Tommy Edman in this game and in this series, he's a switch hitter. He actually hit righty on righty. against you Savage,
Mhm.
which I don't think I've ever really seen anybody do against the guy that throws hard. I've seen it against really soft tossing guys. A switch hitter will pick the righty on righty matchup or the lefty on lefty matchup. But I don't know that I've ever seen it from a guy who hits, when you're facing a pitcher that throws 95, 96, 97. So I thought that was really interesting. And obviously, it did not work well for Edman. I mean, terrible game. And he did not do well against Savage. But, it's probably just a bad matchup for him, honestly, either way. But yeah, I mean, Savage is awesome. Going to be interested to see if he'll do it, able to do it again next year. In some ways, it reminds me a little bit of, I kind of hate to use a Braves example, but a little bit of Ian Anderson. He's kind of a similar way over the top guy who was unique, and eventually he kind of got figured out by everybody. They saw him a few times, and he never really adjusted. And we'll see if Savage is going to be a guy that is able to keep it up. I think the metrics on Savage's stuff are a lot better than Ian Anderson's spin rates and stuff, but definitely interesting. He was great in the whole postseason. Going to be exciting to see him next year fill out a rotation that should be pretty good again. So good for Savage. It's fun to see a rookie that only had 3 career starts have the impact he had in this postseason. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think he had like the most rookie strikeouts, where he has like more strikeouts in the postseason than he did in the regular, like in his career.
There was
still prospect. He's still on prospect list next year. He's not graduated from prospect list.
Yeah, which is crazy.
There was the one guy from the Royals who came and pitched in the World Series, but he did it as a reliever.
Yeah,
and that was Finnegan. I think he flamed out. Finnegan. Like he
Uh-oh. Oh, yeah.
And
we're losing David.
Oh, the further David.
You're back now.
Yeah, David was gone. Finnegan. Finnegan was he got traded in the Cueto trade too. And he ended up being not very good, but he pitched in that World Series, but it was different. That was, I think Finnegan that was his draft year.
Yeah.
I think
we're a year removed from Savage being drafted. Like we covered him in this is one of the first kind of breakouts that we covered in the draft that we had at least something on. We always said Savage is a very high likelihood of being a good pitcher. High likelihood of being a good pitcher, but the kind of superstar status was a little ambiguous. A lot of because of the release point, the pitch. I mean, he's a splitter guy. It's really hard to control that, command that splitter. Matt's right, if he can do that and command that splitter and command that fastball, and like he did in this postseason, he'll be a really good pitcher. But I think it's going to come in waves. He's going to need to make adjustments, right? Matt's right. The guys are going to see him, and he's going to get a little more hittable. But he's 22 years old, man. He's got the sky is absolutely the limit for this guy. He can absolutely get to another level, add another pitch, etc. Use all this, ML professional conditioning. He's going to be good.
I think the easiest part of foreshadowing to say is that you can expect us to probably have Trey Savage as Rookie of the Year in the American League next year. Probably.
Maybe.
Very possible.
So, all right. So now this sets up going back to Toronto. Toronto up 3-2, 2 games in Rogers Center. You have to expect you got to take one, right? So we get to game 6. It's Kevin Gossman versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a rematch of game 2, another electric pitching matchup, which we were both, I was excited to watch it again because it was very entertaining in game 2. It lived up to the hype in this one again. Will Smith doubled in the top of the 3rd to give them a 1-0 lead. And then Dave Roberts, if we're talking about pushing those buttons the right way, this is after he moved Will Smith up to 2nd in the lineup, dropped Mookie Betts to 4th in the lineup, and told Mookie before the game, hey, all I want you to do is go knock in a run, right? That follows up in that 3rd inning. Mookie Betts singles, drives home 2. Perfect managerial. This is pressing those right buttons there. Blue Jays come back in the bottom of the 3rd. George Springer, because of course, playing after we thought he tore his oblique. I don't know. It looked so bad. The guy was grunting on every single swing. It looked like he should not be out there. And he still found a way. Singled home. Addison Barger gave them, got them back in with a run there to make it 3-1 in the bottom of the 3rd. That was it. That was all the scoring. The guys went scoreless the rest of the way. And Yamamoto threw 6 innings here, 96 pitches, 6 Ks, 1 run, 1 walk. Gossman, 6 innings, those 3 runs, 8 Ks though too. I'm pretty sure those 8 Ks came within the first 3 innings. He was absolutely locked in early on. Started getting that splitter working, getting some more ground balls later in the game, but this was an electric game. Game 6 ended how we should. This is what we should probably talk about. They brought in Tyler Glasnow after Sasaki had gave up 2 hits and a walk. Glasnow got a first pitch pop up, I believe, to second base from Schneider. I want to say.
Might have been.
No, it was Clement. It was Clement.
Yeah.
And then it was Andres Jimenez was up to bat. Fly ball to left field, which I thought was an easier catch than what the other stuff says. It only said like I had 19% catch probability. And Kike got a great jump, I guess, on it.
Yeah,
but line drive basically,
too.
Positioning. Kike Hernandez catches that ball, throws to second base. Addison Barger was too far off the base. Miguel Rojas with an insane pick at second base as he's falling down to double up Addison Barger and end the game to give the Dodgers the 3-1 win to force a Game 7. So let's kind of highlight on that one a little bit, and then we'll kind of go along more on Game 7. But Matt, that ending to that game really.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing in that, that 9th inning that was kind of interesting was the ball that was hit, the double. The Blue Jays had a guy on first and nobody out, and I forgot who hit it, but they hit a double into the gap, and it hit in the base of the wall, and it kind of wedged up under the wall.
Barger hit that one.
Yeah.
Barger hit that. Okay. I didn't remember who it was. Yeah, I remember now. I've never seen it. But yeah, I mean, Barger hit that ball, kind of got wedged up under the wall. We've seen this play a bunch of times. If you don't go grab that ball, because while it's pretty likely that you probably could have picked it up and it probably wasn't, the chances that it stuck could ruin your game.
Yeah.
If you go touch it. So don't touch it, put your hands up, and it's a ground rule double. So second and third, I think that could have been a triple if they didn't have that play. You got second and third with nobody out's a lot different from guy on third with nobody out in a 1-run game. But at the end of the day, and we saw this in Game 7, we saw this in Game 3 in the 18-inning game. The Blue Jays just couldn't get these guys in. I mean, they had second and third, nobody out in the 9th inning. Mm-hmm. Tyler Glasnow came in. It's not like Tyler Glasnow came in and threw all that well. I mean, he pitched fine, but it's not like he was striking everyone out and getting tons of swings and misses. I mean, he gave up kind of a bloop, little pop up to second base, and then that ball that hit Andres Jimenez hit was a missile to left field that he lined out on. So, the base running was bad here. The base running really did end up being a problem in this series for the Blue Jays. We discussed some of the issues in Game 3 with the pickoff and the 2 outs at the plate, and then here in Game 6, you can't get the last out of the game by just wandering too far off of second base. I know if that ball dropped, you have got to score on it, but at the end of the day, you just made the third out to end the game on a double play ball at second base. So that was really dumb. But I mean, it is what it is for the Blue Jays, and that, there's other opportunities. They could have just not, they could have just gotten a hit. They had plenty of opportunities in these games, but that was kind of a microcosm of how the series ended up going at the end. When the Dodgers got in a lot of trouble, most of the time they were kind of able to weasel their way out. And we'll talk about Game 7 in a second, but that was the story of Game 7.
Yep. Yeah. The one thing I want to note is that after this postseason, George Springer is now tied for 4th all time in postseason home runs with Kyle Schwarber behind Manny Ramirez and Jose Altuve. And that is amidst the oblique issue, and him gritting it out through these last couple of games was pretty, it's pretty special. Him and Bo Bichette were both extremely hurt, I think, pretty clearly watching these
Bo
games.
Bichette could barely walk.
He could barely run. Yeah, it was tough, but
we're going to talk about him here in a second.
You touched on the rest of it. I think this game wasn't, you talk about like a must win. Like this wasn't a must win game. The Blue Jays did not have to win this game, but boy, it would have been nice to put the Dodgers away here. And unfortunately, this was like the one game the bats weren't really awake. If they score 4 runs, they win this game. They scored 4 runs just about every other game. It wasn't even like Yamamoto was. This was Yamamoto's probably his worst performance of the whole time, but he was still so just enough to shut him down. So,
yeah. All right, so let's move on to Game 7 now, because this one is absolutely wild. So Shohei Ohtani starts this game on short rest for him there. Gives up a absolute nuke to Bo Bichette in the 3rd inning. It was probably pretty clear that he probably should have only gone 2 and went to Glasnow after the 2nd. Mm-hmm. They allowed him to stay in for the 3rd, gave up that absolute nuke to Bo Bichette. Toronto takes a 3-0 lead in Game 7. Then Teoscar Hernandez in the top of the 4th got a sac fly to make it 3-1. Tommy Edman got a sac fly to make it 3-2 in the top of the 6th. Andres Gimenez came back in the bottom of the 6th, doubled off of Tyler Glasnow to make it 4-2. This is already after the benches cleared. We had the benches clear in Game 7 because Andres Gimenez tried to get hit by the pitch and then got mad when he got hit by the next pitch.
Yeah.
I've never seen a guy flail his hand trying to get hit and then get mad that he got hit. Like, what are we expecting here? You're the 9-hitter in Game 7 of the World Series. They're not trying to hit you. But he came back and doubled to give them a lead. Got his revenge, if you want to say it. Gave that a 4-2 lead there. Top of the 8th, Max Muncy hit a towering fly ball to make it a 4-3 game. Then
Offie Savage.
It was Offie Savage, who came in relief.
Yep.
And then they brought in Jeff Hoffman, got out of the 8th inning there. Then we go to the 9th inning with a 1-run lead for the Toronto Blue Jays to close out the World Series. They get the first out. I forget how he did that. But then you have
it was the 8-hitter.
Well, no. I just don't know how he got it out. And then
fly out.
It was probably a fly out or something.
Yeah.
Then you had Miguel Rojas coming up to bat with an out. Shohei Ohtani on deck. Miguel Rojas, who hasn't had a hit in over a month, hasn't had a home run off a right-handed hitter this year. I want to say his last home run was like May,
September 3rd or something.
Or no, he did have one in September.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like Hoffman left a slider hanging, and he was able to just hook it over the left field wall to tie the game 4-4 in the top of the 9th. I thought the next thing, I thought Shohei hit it out too because he went to the warning track in left field. That allowed this game to go to the bottom of the 9th, where you had bases. Were the bases loaded for Varsho?
They loaded him.
Yeah,
they loaded him.
It was loaded for Varsho. How did Varsho get out? I can't remember.
He struck out.
He struck
out. It was bases loaded, nobody out.
Bases loaded. Yeah, it was bases loaded, no out or 1 out. I think it was
one out. I think it was 1 out. And then Varsho struck out.
Varsho struck out, and the next guy popped out, and that was it.
That's right.
Well, it wasn't
the
pop
Smith
out.
Thing was.
Oh no, wait, you're right.
This was.
You're right.
This was the Ernie Clement.
It was bases loaded, 0 out. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Because I think Varsho struck out.
The first one was Rojas, and then it was Ernie.
Yeah.
So
Barger, and then it was Kirk, and then Varsho.
So the first thing was...
Oh, no, Varsho is how he hit to second base. IKF was trying to come home. Rojas threw him out.
Yeah.
While falling down.
Falling backwards after hitting the homer.
Yeah.
While falling down through I think it was IKF out at home.
It was.
That set up still bases loaded with Ernie Clement coming up to the plate, who we were just talking about. Most hit in a postseason run. He hit one, and also right before the play,
before the at bat to
before the at bat to Varsho, they put in Andy Pajas in center field because he has one of the best arms in baseball to allow for the sac fly to potentially throw someone out at home. You get the Rojas play, whatever. Then Ernie Clement drives one to left center field. It looks like Kike Hernandez is going for a Willie Mays style over the shoulder catch or whatever. And then out of nowhere, he came a flying Andy Pajas, just struck him like a linebacker coming over the middle.
Yeah. Yep, that's crazy.
And
Make the catch.
popped the ball to make the catch, to not have the World Series walk off there.
Oh my god.
And then like Pages is like kind of celebrating, and then he turns and realizes PK is still face down on the warning track, and he's like, "Oh, I should go check on him."
Oh.
And then they get up celebrating, whatever. Then it
Right.
leads off to the 10th, which I don't think much happens in the 10th either way.
Yep.
Then the 11th gets was it 2 outs? I think it was 2 outs. With Will Smith hitting his homer.
Yep.
To give the Dodgers a 5-4 lead in the top of the 11th. Then you get to the bottom of the 11th. And also, did we mention that in this game, on 0 days rest after pitching 96 pitches, Yoshinobu Yamamoto comes into the game and throws, I think it was in the 9th, came in 2 outs
And
there.
he closed
Got the 10th,
Throughout
went to the 11th. In the 11th versus Vlad Jr. somehow pulls his hands in on an insane inside fastball for a double down the left field line. And then you had forget what they bunt him over to third.
Yes.
I think
IKF
so.
got
I
bunted
think
him over to
IKF
third,
was
right?
behind him.
Yeah.
So,
IKF bunts him over to third. I want to make sure I have this right. Yeah. Then Barger walked.
intentional walk. Or no, it wasn't intentional
It was an unintentional
intentional
walk.
Yeah.
pitching
Which
around.
brought up Alejandro Kirk with
Mhm.
runners on first and second. And Alejandro Kirk had a broken bat to shortstop where Mookie Betts grabbed it, ran it to second base, threw it onto first to get the game-ending double play to win the World Series here. So Matt, going through the the roller coaster of game 7 here, where the Dodgers did not use a single relief pitcher in that game.
Yeah.
Every pitcher that pitched was a starting pitcher at some point. You had Scherzer had another good start. You had Bassett, you Savage, the homer to Rojas, the insane play in center field.
Hoffman.
Or Hoffman, sorry. You had the insane play with Pages in center field. Miguel Rojas play there. You had Shane Bieber coming in extra innings too. The homer to Smith, the double play, like everything. Just wrap up your thoughts on game 7.
Yeah, I mean, it was a classic game. I thought that, the Bo Bichette home run was a great moment in Toronto. I thought
That was a nuke.
it felt like the Jorge Soler home run in 2021. Like it felt like the game was over when that happened.
How far was that either? I don't remember.
440.
It was it was a bomb.
It was a bomb.
440.
And then
Crushed it.
And then, of course, after that, the Dodgers just kept getting guys on base, and the Blue Jays would find ways to weasel out of it, and occasionally giving up one run, but like they were, they'd load the bases with nobody out, and then would be a sac fly, and then the inning would end, like stuff like that. There was the one of the sac flies you mentioned, the one that Edman hit to center field. That was a crazy diving play by
Varsho.
Varsho.
Yeah.
And then to get the third out, Vlad Jr. made an insane diving catch at first.
The catch was on Edman, I think. The other one was on Teoscar. Teoscar was the one to center field that Varsho
Teoscar hit the sac fly. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then Edman pulled the ball to first, and the diving play by Vlad. But that was crazy. The Blue Jays, though, in this game had every opportunity. They had guys on base in just about every inning. They had chances to extend this lead a bunch of times. And they still had a lead with an out in the 9th inning and the worst hitter on the Dodgers up. And, Hoffman just hangs a slider. I mean, it happens, but you would just, that situation, it's remarkable how sometimes some guy like that ends up. You think about the Rajai Davis home run. You think about, the Francisco Cabrera walk off, and where he had like 5 plate appearances the whole year or something in the 90s. Like it's just, the postseason baseball, things happen, and that was crazy. And then
it's wild. I didn't even know if you even know it, but Rojas apparently got hurt in the celebration of Game 6.
I did not know that.
He hurt his side, like his oblique as well.
Huh.
They did not think he was going to play in Game 7. When Roberts texted him in the morning, he's like, I need to get to the field and see if I can even play today. And then that happens.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was shocked that Hoffman got Shohei out after that too. Like I know it was. I mean, Shohei almost he didn't put a bad swing on it, but he flew out to the track, but it wasn't the best hit ball. It was still a decent pitch, but I was like, there's no shot that he throws. If he throws a strike to him, it's going to be a meatball and it's going to be hit for a home run or something. Like, I was shocked that he got Shohei out and got it extra innings. But I mean, like I say, this game was just, to me, like, the Blue Jays just have so many opportunities, and once again, you got down to that bottom of the 11th, and the Blue Jays have a chance to win the game or at least tie it and extend the game. And guess who's up? It's IKF hitting fourth. Because and I know that the Bo Bichette hit the home run earlier, but it's like, man, it's tough to have someone like that. I don't mean to hate on IKF. It's tough to have someone like that hitting fourth.
Yeah. Giving up an out in the ninth inning, or in the the 11th inning.
Yeah, and that play he had in the ninth inning where he got thrown out at the plate by Rojas. I read something after the game that was interesting. That kind of is. It just goes to show you how crazy what a season could come down to.
Yep.
Apparently IKF, he's always been known as a good base runner. He steals a lot of bases when he's on and everything. I don't remember the exact stat, but I think he had the fourth worst secondary lead on average in baseball this year. Yeah. And that one step that he might have not gotten off of third base in that situation cost the Blue Jays the World Series, because that was a close play at the plate, and Will Smith barely kept the bag too, or kept
his foot came off and came back down. Right.
Yeah. He barely got back down on it. So, that one little detail is what changes who wins the World Series this year. And it's just one of those things that's crazy about what baseball comes down to. And, I felt for Kirk a little bit in that situation in the 11th inning. I mean, that is not out of all players on that team to be hitting in that situation, that is not the guy you want to be hitting if you just can't have a double play. Like, you cannot have a double play there. If he hits a fly ball, you tie the game. If he hits anybody else hits a weak grounder, probably ties the game. Kirk is the guy. He hits the ball on the ground a pretty good bit. He always puts it in play, and he's a catcher that is not fast. Probably one of the slowest players in baseball. So, I mean, that was tough. What a gut punch for the Blue Jays. I mean, that just to go through that series and have the opportunities they had and not be able to win. It's crazy. And honestly, and obviously good for the Dodgers. I mean, so many things that we questioned about this Dodgers team this year with their pitching depth and pitching health and their bullpen. I mean, we had how many games that we have in the World Series where the bullpen kind of, whether it was from the actual bullpen or from starters pitching out of the bullpen, they were able to figure it out and, go 18 innings in game 3 without giving up runs. And like the bullpen gave up no runs in like 10 innings or something or 11 innings. And then in game 7, the bullpen comes in after Shohei gave up 3 and gives up 1 run in like 8 innings. I mean, that was the question for the Dodgers was, could they figure out the bullpen? Would starters factor in? What would the plan be? And then they figured it out. So they won. But what a crazy World Series, crazy game 7. It was an all-timer. It's got to be top 5 all-time, or at least in my lifetime, World Series. I mean, you think about the Cubs Indians in 2016. You think about the Diamondbacks versus the Yankees in 2001. Those are a couple that come to mind. It's just probably would eclipse this one, but this one was crazy.
Yeah, I think to the play, and we mentioned it, but it's the play that Pages made, catching it into Hernandez off of Ernie. All of the factors that were required for that to happen. One, Edman has to get pulled. Well, actually, I think he pulled Edman. He pulled Edman.
Yeah.
To put Pages in.
Yep.
Right. Pages had the worst postseason of all time going into that game. Yeah. Put Pages into the game. Then Ernie Clement has to hit it 3 feet short of the grand slam to win the World Series. Right. And which he does. It's a warning track fly ball.
Yeah, that wall's really high, but it would have been off the wall.
Even then, all it had to do was hit the ground. Hernandez was not going to catch the ball. Like I don't think he was even.
It would have been like
he
some
was,
weird.
He was not going to catch the ball. Pages. So Dave Roberts has to put in Pages the out before, which was its own adventure. Ernie Clement, the all-time hits leader in a postseason, hits a ball that should be a hit, and Pages is able to go get it and catch it. That was the moment where I was like, "It's the Dodgers are going to win." There's nothing that can go wrong here, which is crazy because the amount of times I felt wavered on I was firmly Dodgers the whole way on this. I was like, Dodgers are going to this World Series, and then
you start out telling me Dodgers in 4.
Right. It's the same. Game 1, the Dodgers get blown out. I was like, okay, Dodgers in 5.
Yeah.
And then the Dodgers blown out. I was like, okay, yeah. And then the Dodgers won the 18-inning game. I was like, it's going to be the Dodgers, 100%. And then the Blue Jays won the next 2. I was like, it might not be the Dodgers.
Oh.
And then game 6 happened, and it could have not been the Dodgers like several times in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the Dodgers again. And I was like, dude, and when Bo hit the home run, I was fully off. I was like, fine, the Dodgers might actually not win this game.
Yeah.
And when it was even like, when Will Smith's foot came off, but it was pretty clearly on before IKF got there. I was like, okay, Ernie's up. If there's one guy that should be the hero right now, it's Ernie Clement. And he hit a really good ball. Like it was as good a hit as you can ask for in that situation. Yeah. And the left fielder wasn't going to catch it. They hit it to left field. The left fielder wasn't going to catch it. And the center fielder made the play of a lifetime after coming off the bench. Because I don't think Tommy Edman gets to it.
No, absolutely.
I don't think Tommy Edman gets there. I think that's a game-winning RB 2-run double to win the World Series for Ernie Clement. If Dave Roberts doesn't pull that cord right before, I mean, again, it's just when it goes back to the manager, and I take that, and then also I thought John Schneider putting Trey Savage in, brilliant. John Schneider letting Trey Savage throw any amount of strikes that were more than 0 to Max Muncy was a gigantic misstep. At the very least, you have Fluharty to as a lefty to go to Muncy. If Muncy homers off the lefty, fine. But don't let Savage on 2 days rest throw to Muncy. That was a mistake. And that's a tough one to rash. Like at that point, it's a two-run lead. Okay, whatever.
What you could say is that
I would have gone to the lefty. You gotta overmanage in that case. Like you have to. I know Savage is good.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, that was the only hit he gave up, right? Like he was looking good at that point.
Yeah,
and he still has the splitter versus lefty, but I agree. It needs to be Fluharty in that situation. Right.
He had thrown an inning in a third, I think, at that point. It's like, I know you want to get him to the 9th, but you just at that point, right? Muncy's up. He's thrown his couple of batters here. He's gotten through the meat of the Dodgers order without giving anything up. Go to the lefty. Make sure Muncy is so much worse versus lefty. Just go to the lefty. Get the better numbers. If Muncy beats you off the lefty, fine. Yeah. You're still got the 1-run lead.
Yep.
But I think and I'm all for relying on the good pitchers, but Trey Savage is a rookie, man. Like he was his first time there. It's his first time pitching in relief in a Major League Baseball game, like in the Game 7 of the World Series, and he was still pretty good.
And in our preview, Matt and I highlighted Mason Fluharty as one of the keys to this series because he was their best left-handed relief pitcher. We mentioned it. We said he's going to be the guy that's going to give this team problems. You're going to need him for these left-handed hitters, especially Shohei, Freddie, and then. And that was a situation where they've done it. They did it right the entire series until that moment.
Right.
That's where
and then you've got the Rojas thing. Matt's right. It was like Rajai Davis, but the funniest part about that was like I think the Muncy home run was much more a avoidable outcome. The Rojas home run is one of them freak natures of baseball, man.
Yeah, that
only happens in a Game 7 time where all the circumstances have to come together perfectly to result in a Rojas home run. Because for I don't know why Hoffman wasn't just throwing a fastball. Why wouldn't you just throw a fastball?
Yeah,
I don't know. He threw a slider 3-2. Throw the fastball, man. Like, what are you throwing a slider for? It's the same thing with Aroldis Chapman threw Rajai Davis a slider.
Yeah,
dude, I'll defend. It's okay.
I'll defend Jeff Hoffman on that one because of who was on deck, and you absolutely cannot walk.
You can't walk
Rojas, and he knows that. And if you throw him a fastball, he is going to be sitting all over a fastball. And
Sure, but
all
I'd
you
rather
have to
be
do
nice.
is not hang the dang slider in the middle of the strike zone, and he's not going to hit a home run off of it. And I don't know. Like, I agree with you though in principle. I mean, that matchup in the ninth inning. I mean, that's what that's your closer. You signed him to a big contract in the offseason to be your closer. Mm-hmm. He's facing Miguel Rojas, who's a right-handed hitter. There's nothing about that matchup that the Blue Jays could have avoided. It just happened that he hit the home run. I agree with you though. In the eighth inning, I would have gone to a lefty to face Muncy. I mean,
I'm not even sure that if Hoffman gets Rojas, that Hoffman's the one facing Shohei.
Yeah.
I think if you have 2 outs, Hoffman had already fulfilled his 3 batters. He'd went out for the inning, finished the 8th coming in there. If you have 2 outs like that, I guarantee you're either walking Shohei to pitch to Smith, or you're bringing in Fluharty for Ohtani. Yep. Like, you're doing one of those two. Like, you're not letting Shohei beat you in that situation. He pitched to him, I think, after he gave up the homer because it was like the game's tied already.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I don't think that. But like, I think to David's point is like, if you're Jeff Hoffman, why are you throwing your second, maybe third best pitch in that situation to Miguel Rojas? Like, I don't think Miguel Rojas is hitting your home run for a fastball in that situation.
Right.
Like, at the worst case, he might hit it for a single or a double, but then you get into the other situation. I think you threw a backup slider that just happened to Rojas was able to run into that. Mm-hmm. That's probably the thing, right? If you're trying not to walk him, I don't know if slider's the best pitch for them.
So my one thing here, we can wrap up Game 7 here after this. Jeff Hoffman's worst pitch was actually his fastball this season. It was his best pitch he got last year, worst pitch this year. I don't know if that's really fluctuating or anything. Miguel Rojas versus sliders had an expected slugging of 449 versus fastballs. He had an expected slugging of 380. I just think I would have thrown the fastball. Yeah. I would have said, Miguel Rojas, you have to beat me on a fastball strike here. And gone and lived and died with the velocity. I just would have done that.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I've seen this movie before by Jeff Hoffman though. I don't know if y'all remember that game in the division series a couple years ago with the Phillies and Braves and the Austin Riley home run. That was a 3-2 count, 2 outs. Jeff Hoffman throws a slider and hangs it. It was the same thing. Yeah. So and that was a game winner that time. This was a tying, but yeah, I mean, I would have gone fastball. Probably would have been the better option there. But I mean, I know why he threw slider. Like, I get it.
Yeah, we know why. It's just I don't think we can all say that. It's also Monday morning quarterbacking here for sure. A little bit.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We could say post.
It's whatever he was
comfortable the game happened. It's like it's you mentioning that his fastball's been the worst pitch for him this year. Probably highlights how little confidence he might have in it.
Maybe
right.
Yeah.
Like, he might feel like slider is my best pitch here.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so tough. It came down to the most minute of details.
And honestly, real quick too, I want to say I feel for Jeff Hoffman because the absolute storybook ending this would have been after what he dealt with last offseason, having to deal with 2 separate teams and then both fail your physical. And then him finally signing with the third team. He had to deal with the Braves and with the Orioles. And they both failed his physical. And then he had to sign with the Blue Jays after that. Like, for him to be able to, in that situation where if he were to potentially close out a World Series, like, that would have been great for him. I feel bad for him with everything that, but
he threw. In case you're wondering, Jeff Hoffman, he of the failed physical through 71 regular season innings, and then I'm trying to get his playoff innings as well, real quick, because he had a bunch. 12 more playoff innings for a total of 83 innings this season as a reliever. That is great numbers, great work. Fully healthy. He wasn't incredibly great during the regular season. He was elite in the playoffs. I completely understand sticking with him in that situation, but
absolutely
so tough, man. What a tough spot.
Yeah.
So
that wraps up the World Series recap here. The Dodgers, like we said to start the show, go back to back. First team since 1999, 2000, who the Yankees three-peated that time. So we'll see if history repeats itself. Maybe we get a three-peat.
Then we won't get any more World Series champions after that.
Maybe.
Woo.
But now as setting up the off season. So next week we will come back with our free agency predictions. We are looking to do top 30 plus there. So if there's anyone that you want us to make a prediction on, be sure to drop it in the comments or on our social media pages, which you see our @ right there under our names. We are going to also try to do more breaking news episodes this year for these free agency predictions, for trades, for any other big time breaking news. We're going to try to go more, try to go live more often. The nights those happen might not be right away because we all obviously work, but try to do those during that. And then in a couple weeks, we have to do a kind of recap of some other stories we've been kind of pushing off. Obviously, all the manager hirings, like Matt toned to earlier, we have some president of baseball operation hirings and stuff going on there. And then we'll obviously start having free agency news, non-tender news, all of that, which we'll come back to on our other regular scheduled episodes as well. So if there's anything you want to see this offseason or see us go over, we can do a top 10 lists again for position wise. We can do more ranking videos. You guys like the City Connect one? Maybe we can do more of those, more quizzes. Just let us know. We want to try and get you guys some more content because we know we've been doing the lives every other week during the off season. So we want to get you guys some more content during those kind of off weeks per se. But before we wrap up, there anything you guys want to hit on or mention? No,
I don't think
good.
so.
We've talked a lot. Baseball's
have.
over, and it's time for the off season, which is a good off season. It's going to be fun.
It is. So. And like I mentioned, our pre-show thing, we said, this should take us like 40-ish minutes. We're an hour and 17 minutes in. I said it every time. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we truly do appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and again, let us know what you want to see this off season. You want to see top 10s, more free agencies, any other free agents or trades you want us to try to even predict. Let us know, and we'll catch you guys back here next week for some free agency predictions.